Hi, Dr. Jen Andrade, the Active Persons Chiropractor, and today I am going to be talking about workstation ergonomics. There are a lot of studies coming out now that are talking about the importance of ergonomics in your workstation. You spend a lot of time there. Most people 8+ hours a day, 5 days a week, and they've shown that if you have better ergonomics, it improves your productivity, your focus, your attention, your energy levels, your mood, and just your overall well-being. So it's definitely worth evaluating. Whether you are working from home or working in an office setting, evaluating your workstation ergonomics can be really to your benefit. So let's get into some things to look at. And I know that not everybody has a really big budget, so let's look at some tips and tricks and things that you can tweak to make your workstation better for you. So let's start with the chair. So the chair should have a high back, as you can see mine does, so that it can support both the lower back and the head. So I like to have a headrest. Mine has an adjustable headrest, which I really like, so that you can actually sit all the way back into your chair, have your back supported, have your head supported. A thing that I often see is people are leaning forward like this because they're trying to focus, or they're sitting back into it and they're causing a lot of stress onto the lower back. Two things we want to avoid, and if we have a nice, comfortable, supportive back, that can avoid that problem. The other thing we want to look at is the armrests. So some don't have armrests. I definitely recommend having an armrest. The best case scenario is if the armrest is adjustable so that it can accommodate to your body specifically. So now let's talk about where that armrest should be placed. So ideally that armrest should have your shoulder and elbow at a 90-degree angle, and that is really good because it reduces stress onto the neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, basically the whole upper body. So we want to put that in the most neutral, easy position so that it's not getting overly stressed throughout the day. So next thing to look at is, as we come down to the seat, we ideally want to have our hip and our knee in a nice straight line parallel to each other, creating a 90-degree angle and a 90-degree angle at our knees as well. So again, we want this so that we're not putting any additional stress onto the knees, onto the hips, onto the lower back. And the other thing I want you to pay attention to is where your feet are at. You ideally want to have those level so that we can keep that at 90-degree position at the knee and the hip. So you can put something underneath it if you need to prop it up a little bit, or if you have a footrest, that will work as well. But we don't want the legs dangling off of the chair, because then that pulls on the legs and it can actually cause a lot of tension and stress onto the lower back. The other thing we don't want is we don't want our hips kind of hiked up here, because then we're going to have really tight, uncomfortable hip flexors. So that's the things that I look at for the chair. So let's go ahead and move on to the desk. We'll just talk about a sitting desk because that's what I actually have here in my office. So things you want to look at. So when it comes to the desk, wherever your keyboard and mouse are at, so where actually you're doing the work on the computer, I want that to be as close to level with the elbows as possible. So we don't want the arms up or drooping down, or we don't have to be reaching really far forward. So try to get that positioning where it needs to be for your body, and then scoot your chair into the desk so that you're not leaning forward, you're not tempted to do that to focus and to see better. The other thing that I've done is I have my laptop elevated from where my keyboard and my mouse are at. So if you have a separate screen, you can do that, or a monitor. Not everybody has that option. I decided to go with a wireless keyboard and mouse so that I could elevate my laptop up so that I am not looking down at the screen. So that puts my head in a better position. So ideally, you want your eye level to be right at about the top of the screen, or where that address bar would be in your web browser. And you want to be kind of looking down at that at a 45-degree angle, but you want your head to be level and be gazing down rather than tilting your chin down to do that. So those are just a couple of things to look at when you're evaluating your workstation ergonomics.
Hopefully you found this helpful. Thanks for listening. Dr. Jen Andrade, the Active Persons Chiropractor.